Welcome to a brand new deep dive. We are so incredibly thrilled to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We have a really fascinating one lined up for you.
We absolutely do because, well, to start things off, I want to ask you a question. What do a 2,000-year-old Roman gladiator arena, a €1.50 bus ride, and the pair of blue jeans you are probably wearing right now all have in common?
I mean, on paper, that sounds like a completely random list of things.
Right, it really does. But they actually all converge in one single, wildly underrated place. Today, we are plunging straight into the vibrant city of Nîmes, France.
Yes, Nîmes, a place that is very often called the Rome of France.
Exactly. And our mission today is to basically give you a shortcut. We've pulled from a giant stack of travel diaries, historical blogs, event programs, and a really deep dive into textile history.
It's a lot of material to go through.
It is, but we want to distill all of it down so you're perfectly well informed about how ancient history, stunning engineering, and a massive global fashion legacy all just, collide in this one spot, so you're ready to impress at your next trivia night or maybe just plan the ultimate French getaway.
I mean, Nîmes really is a masterclass in how cities can preserve their deep past, right? But without putting it all behind a velvet rope or a glass case, they just continue to live right on top of it.
Which I love. Okay, so let's start with that nickname, the Rome of France. I mean, you don't just casually throw that title around. What gives Nîmes the right to claim that?
Well, originally Nîmes was set up as a sort of prime retirement colony for Roman legionnaires, specifically the ones who had served under Julius Caesar.
Oh, wow. So these are the elite guys.
Exactly. And when you are rewarding the soldiers who literally helped pull the empire, you bring in your absolute best urban planners. The Romans wanted this city to be a gleaming, undeniable advertisement for imperial power in Gaul.
And nothing says imperial power quite like a massive gladiator arena.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Les Arènes, this incredibly well-preserved Roman amphitheater right in the middle of the city.
Yeah, it's visually stunning. I mean, it was built to hold 24,000 spectators.
24,000. But what makes this one different from the Colosseum in Rome? Because obviously the Colosseum gets all the hype.
It comes down to preservation, really.
Yeah.
The Colosseum was heavily scavenged for its stone over the centuries. That's why it has that, that iconic broken tooth silhouette.
Right, half of it is basically missing.
Exactly. But the arena in Nîmes still has its top floor completely intact. You're looking at a structure from the end of the 1st century AD that has retained its full symmetrical exterior shell.
That is just wild to think about. And then, just a short walk away from there, you have the Maison Carrée.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The Maison Carrée.
It's this Roman temple that is so perfectly preserved. It almost looks fake. It seriously looks like it was teleported straight from ancient Rome, or like you just walked onto a Hollywood backlot for a Roman epic, except the sets are 2,000 years old and totally real.
It does mess with your head a little bit, and they even use the inside of it now to show a film called Nemesis, The Birth of Nimes, which gives you the whole origin story.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because lots of cities in Europe have old buildings, right? But Nimes feels different.
It does, because like I said, they don't just treat these monuments as dead ruins. They actively use them.
Right, like the Les Journées Romaines event. So in April of 2026, the city essentially transformed into a massive Roman camp.
Yeah, a huge time travel festival. The theme was the birth of Rome.
And they didn't just have people, casually walking around in togas. They put on an epic spectacle of Spartacus right inside the ancient arena.
Right on the sand, which is what the word arena actually means, by the way. Sand.
Wait, really? Arena means sand?
Yeah, it was the sand they used to soak up the blood from the gladiators.
Oh, wow. Gross, but fascinating. But for this event, we're talking about 500 extras, live cavalry, stuntmen. Imagine sitting on the exact same stone benches where Romans sat 2 millennia ago watching a Roman epic play out.
It's an incredible sensory experience.
Yeah.
But, it also brings up a massive logistical issue.
It is.
Well, if you have 24,000 screaming spectators in an ancient city, or even just a dense population in general, you have an immediate resource management problem. You need water.
Ah, right. A city of that scale couldn't survive without master engineering. So how did they keep the plumbing running?
They built an intricate water web, and the absolute hub of that web is a site called Le Castelmacque.
Okay, and this is another thing that blows my mind about Nimes. Le Castelmacque isn't some grand ticketed museum, right?
Not at all.
It's literally an unassuming, unlocked iron gate in a modern residential backstreet. You just push it open, and suddenly you're looking at an ancient Roman water control system.
Yeah, just tucked between apartments. It's essentially a large circular stone basin. Water flowed into this basin from outside the city, and then it was diverted through these large lead pipes.
Like spokes on a wheel, right?
Exactly. To the public baths, the fountains, and, of course, the private estates of the wealthy.
But, okay, what happens if there's a drought? If it all comes from one basin, does everyone just run out of water at the same time?
And that is where the Roman social hierarchy gets really ruthless. The Castellum wasn't just a distribution center. It was actually engineered to enforce class divisions during a crisis.
Wow, how so?
The pipes were positioned at different heights along the wall of the basin. So when water level dropped during a drought, the water would naturally fall below the highest pipes first.
Let me guess. Those higher pipes went to the poorer neighborhoods.
You guessed it. It would physically cut off the water supply to the lower class areas first. Meanwhile, the pipes supplying the essential public baths and the rich estates were placed much lower down.
So the wealthy kept getting their water even when the reserves were practically gone.
Precisely. It was magnificent engineering, but it was designed to protect the elite.
That is dark, but also incredibly clever. But to get that water into the city basin in the first place, it had to travel a long way. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah. We have to talk about the Pontigard.
Pontigard. It is the source of the water, and honestly, it's one of the most stunning structures on Earth. It's a massive aqueduct bridge.
The sheer scale of it is hard to comprehend until you're standing under it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 meters high.
Right.
It was built in the 1st century AD, over 5 years.
Yeah.
And it is so wide that it's essentially the length of 3 jumbo jets parked end to end.
And what's truly mind-boggling, and this is what every architecture student obsesses over, is that there is zero mortar holding it together.
Wait, no mortar, like no cement at all?
None, not a drop. It is a 3-tier bridge composed of massive stone blocks, and it is held together entirely by gravity and friction.
That just doesn't seem possible. How does it not fall down?
The Romans cut the stones with such intense mathematical precision that the immense weight of the blocks actually acts as the glue. The arches push the weight down and outward, locking everything into place.
So gravity is actually the thing keeping it standing.
Exactly. They harnessed gravity as a building tool. And you have to remember, this bridge was just one small, visible part of a 50-kilometer-long network.
Right, because the water started from springs way out in Uzès.
Yeah, and to get it to flow all the way to Nîmes, the entire 50-kilometer channel had to be built on a very, very slight downhill slope.
But how do you even calculate a slope like that back then? I mean, without lasers or computers?
They used this fascinating tool called chorobates. It was basically a long wooden beam with a water channel carved into the top. By looking at how the water settled in the wood, they could establish a perfectly level line.
That is genius, just wood and water.
And using that, they calculated a gradient that dropped only 17 meters over a 50-kilometer distance.
Wow! The precision is just terrifying. Now, for you as a traveler today, getting to this World Heritage wonder is almost ridiculously easy.
Oh, it really is. It's one of the most accessible wonders in Europe.
Yeah, you don't need a rental car or an expensive tour bus. You literally just walk behind the Nimes train station, hop on bus number 121, and the ride is just €1.50 each way.
Pocket change for a time machine, basically.
Seriously, and it drops you right there. The site itself is free to walk up to, but we want to give you a pro tip for when you visit. Don't just look at the aqueduct, you have to swim underneath it.
Yes, the Garden River flows right beneath the arches.
It is the ultimate sensory experience. Wading into a cool river while this towering monument of ancient human engineering is just looming over your head. But a quick warning if you do this.
Wear water shoes.
Yes, wear water shoes. The stones in the river are insanely slippery. And also, since you're taking the public bus back, you have to be smart about your wet clothes. Bring a thin Turkish towel so you can change behind it on the riverbank. Nobody wants to sit on a French commuter bus in soaking wet swimwear.
Yeah, practical travel advice is crucial. And I should add, while access to the main site is free, you really should pay the small fee for the museum on the left bank.
Oh, definitely. And the guided top-level tour. That is an absolute must.
It really is, because it's the only way they let you climb up to the 3rd tier and actually walk inside the covered stone channel where the water flowed.
Though, heads up, if you are tall, you will be ducking the entire time. The ceiling in there is very low.
True. But the view looking out over the valley from a 1st century Roman vantage point, completely worth it.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered how the Romans engineered stone and water to last for millennia. But there's this amazing pivot in the history of Nîmes. because centuries later, that exact same local genius for engineering durability popped up again, but this time in textiles.
Right. We move from the macro-engineering of aqueducts to the micro-engineering of fabric. And this is honestly one of my favorite historical facts.
It's the ultimate aha moment. Are you ready for this? The word denim, like the fabric that probably makes up half of your wardrobe, is a geographic namesake. It literally comes from the phrase "sèche de Nîmes,"
meaning a sturdy twill fabric from Nîmes. De Nîmes? Denim.
It is just brilliant etymology hiding in plain sight. So how did this happen?
Well, back in the 17th century, the weavers in Nimes were trying to copy a very tough cotton canvas that was being made in Genoa, Italy.
Wait, Genoa, the French word for Genoa is gêne, right?
Exactly, gêne. And that Italian fabric was heavily used for sailors' workwear. That is literally where the word jeans comes from.
Wait. So jeans comes from gêne, meaning Genoa, and denim comes from denim, meaning from Nîmes.
That's it. You're wearing a map of European textile history.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. But I do have a question about the fabric itself, because, looking at a pair of blue jeans right now, why is the outside blue, but the inside, like when you roll up the cuff, why is the inside white? Was that just an early style choice?
No, not at all. It was actually a 17th century life hack to save money.
Really? How so?
Okay, so think about how a wooden loom works. What's fascinating here is the mechanics of it. You have warp threads, which are pulled tight from top to bottom. And then you have the weft thread, which goes horizontally, weaving over and under the warp.
Okay, warp is vertical, weft is horizontal. Got it.
Right. Now, the original fabric from Genoa used blue thread for both the warp and the weft.
Yeah.
Double indigo.
Which I imagine was pretty expensive.
Incredibly expensive. Indigo dye was a luxury. So the weavers in Nimes figured out a cost-saving measure. They dyed the tightly stretched vertical warp threads blue. But for the horizontal weft thread, they just used cheap, uncolored ecru cotton. Basically white.
Oh, wow. So because of how the twill is woven, the blue dominates the front side.
Exactly. It creates a diagonal ribbing that pushes the blue to the front and leaves the uncolored white thread on the back. It used half the amount of expensive dye, but it was just as strong.
And that budget cut from the 1600s is the exact reason the inside of our jeans is white today. That is so cool.
It really is. And because this serge de Nîmes was so incredibly durable against salt water and sun, the French Navy eventually adopted it.
Yes. Which brings us to the Musée du Vieux Nîmes, the Museum of Old Nîmes. It's located in this beautiful former 18th century episcopal palace, and they dedicate a whole room to this denim history.
And if you go there, you can actually see these vintage 1980s French Navy Marine denim jackets. They have these really distinct, giant, oversized collars.
Oh, the collars, they look super fashionable now, but they actually had a profoundly gross practical purpose back in the day, didn't they?
Very gross, yes. So sailors spent months at sea, right? And they wore their hair long. To keep their hair from blowing into their eyes or getting caught in the ship's rigging during storms, they would literally slick it down with thick, heavy tar.
Actual sticky tar, just slathered in their hair.
Yeah, but obviously when the sun beat down, the tar would melt and drip onto their uniforms. So those giant denim collars were designed to lay flat over their shoulders as a tar guard.
A tar guard.
It protected the rest of the expensive blue denim jacket from getting ruined. Over time, the massive collars just became a permanent design staple of the naval uniform.
I will never, ever look at a sailor outfit the same way again. So, okay, we've walked through the Roman arena, we've taken the bus to the aqueduct, we've unpacked the history of our jeans. If you are walking the streets of Nîmes today, what is the vibe? How do all these different eras stack up?
Well, they stack up beautifully, especially in places like the Jardin des Fontaines.
Yes, the gardens are stunning.
It's a massive 15-hectare public park. It was built in the 18th century for the King of France. But in true Nîmes fashion, they didn't just find an empty field. They built this ornate, formal French garden directly over the top of ancient Roman baths.
Which is so funny to me. Why not just preserve the baths separately?
Well, in the 1700s, the French monarchy wasn't really doing historical preservation. They were claiming power. By building their opulent statues and stone balustrades right over the Roman springs, they were symbolically linking the French crown to the glory of the Roman Empire.
Right, it's a total power move. But it makes for an incredible space to walk through. You're strolling along these gravel paths, and then you just stumble across the Temple of Diane.
Which, ironically, probably wasn't a temple to Diane at all.
Wait, really? What was it?
Historians strongly believe it was an ancient library. If you look closely at the surviving stone walls, you can see these square niches carved into them. Those were designed specifically to hold wooden shelving for scroll.